Hi, this is Stray Pass. Welcome to my review of Doom Patrol episode 14 called Penultimate Patrol. Okay, I thought there was only 14 episodes, but there's actually 15 episodes of Doom Patrol, which I thought that at the beginning, but for some reason I thought this episode was going to be the last episode, but it's not. There's going to be one more for next week. Anyway, this review is going to have spoilers in it. Okay, so as we last left off with Flex Patrol, our Doom Patrol is on the hunt for Mr. Nobody and to find Miles. They have a lead, and they're on their way to find Miles. Okay, now, of course, Cyborg is still in the hospital with his father, who he almost killed due to the manipulations of Mr. Nobody, who played on his mind to get him to basically almost beat his father to death. But luckily, he didn't kill him, and he got convinced that, he went with him to the hospital, and Rita kind of talked him down in that last episode and got him to put I forgot what they call it, that sensor thing back in his, it monitors his computer, control his cybernetic parts. He put that back inside of him. And he told Rita them that good luck, but I have to stay with my father. So off they went. Okay, and again, a couple episodes back, they had planted a bug on the beard tracker who was looking for Miles. And and that's who Rita says that we can track him because he had a lead on Miles because he ate due to him eating the beard hunter. By eating his beard, he could tell where he was. Okay, so that's where this episode picks off with the Doom Patrol going off to find Niles, track down this beard hunter and find where Niles is. Now this episode was another really good episode. We got a little backstory with Mr. Nobody. They had a little prelude thing with Mr. Nobody and stuff, and they kind of played on his comic book origins and stuff, and saying how he got rejected by the Brotherhood of Evil, which was that was a nice touch. And I like that. And of course, his wife walked out on him. And of course, you can see that was kind of the start of his derangement, of him going nuts. Okay, and so reluctantly, the Doom Patrol, they go off remember, Flex Mantel's with them too. So he goes off with them, and they actually tracking the beard hunter. They come upon Danny the street. If you remember a few episodes back, doing an episode called Danny Patrol, there was a queer what do you call it? Queer baiting street named Danny that could teleport from place to place. They actually tracked down the beard hunter to that place, and they asked him where's Miles, and he said he gave that up. He's not hunting Miles anymore. And Danny said, the street named Danny communicates with them and said, listen, I know where he is. He's in that space in between that white space, and Flex Mantel knows where that white space is, and he says, with my power, I can transport you guys into that white space so you can go help rescue Miles. And he does that, although with one little gap, which you have to see to believe, which is absolutely hilarious. Instead of transporting them in between those white pages, in between those panels in comic books that they call the white panels, he actually made everybody in Danny Street, including Danny, have an orgasm, which was absolutely hilarious to watch. All those guys, everybody experiencing an intense orgasm. That was absolutely hilarious to watch. But anyway, once he corrects himself and transports them there, and then Mr. Nobody actually transports our heroes back to scenarios before they became the current members of Doom Patrol. He transported Cliff back to the night before his test flight. Larry, the night before his test flight. Cliff back before he was getting ready to drive his wife and have that accident. And Rita back before she had the accident when she fell in the water and got infected, become Elasti-girl. And also, right? And Jane, she transported her back to the mental hospital before she had the operation, which gave her her powers and all that stuff. So he offered them a scenario. Listen, stay where you are, okay, and you can just live your lives without becoming these freaks. You can just live your lives like normal and stuff, and nothing will ever happen. And eventually, your memories of the chief will eventually just fade. He said that's the scenario he's offering them. And remarkably, each one of them, with some eventually they just turn it down and they say, you know what, screw this, and they walk out on those scenarios, which is great. And they go back to the white space, and then you see Rita figure out that she can actually change the narrative from Mr. Nobody narrating the story, that she can narrate the story. And it was great to have them all come together once Rita narrated them back all together. And then we see them together with Niles and then all of a sudden you see, we also, I forgot to mention, in this episode, we also flash, they show Vic in the hospital with his father, and his father wakes up, and his father kind of reveals a truth that he didn't know, that his wife, Vic's mom, was actually still alive when they had the accident, and they transported them back both to Star Labs, and eventually, they made the scenario that Vic was strong enough to survive the operation, that her injuries was too intense that she couldn't survive the operation. So of course Vic feels guilt about that, and now, even though he was happy his father initially woke up, now he's even more mad at his father for not revealing that choice to him, that he chose him instead of the mom, and so now he's even more pissed, and he walks away from his father again. Okay, and then we flash back to the white space where our United team are together, and Mr. Nobody is they kind of figure him out, that they actually see his wife from the flashback in the beginning of the episode where she told him that he was basically a nobody, and they figure, oh, you did all this because a girl rejected you, which I thought was hilarious. And then we see Vic come in, and he blows Mr. Nobody away, and then we're back to normal swimmingly, and the Doom Patrol are back in the mansion with the chief, and everything's hunky-dory, except we see there's a giant robot stomping around in the city, and the Doom Patrol go out to fight him and then confront him, and they keep getting killed and killed again and killed again and killed again and killed again until the chief finally stops them and says, listen, I keep saying you get killed over and over again. And he says, no, listen, we're still in that white space. Mr. Nobody is, we didn't win. He let us think we won, but we're still in that white space. He's just playing the scenario over and over and over again. And then reluctantly, you see, they're around and, they're questioning each other. And then you see another Vic walk in, okay? And that's the real Vic. And Mr. Nobody reveals himself that he was masquerading as Vic, a cyborg. And he said, yes, you finally figured it out. And then he tells Miles, he's offering Miles a choice. He said, listen, Miles, I'll let you all go if you just admit the truth. Just admit the truth. And Miles, doesn't want to admit it. And then reluctantly, with some prodding from the members, he reveals the truth. He tells them, listen, all of you wouldn't be what you are if it wasn't for me. And that's how it goes off, with that big revelation in that all of them are the way they are because of something that he did, which we don't know exactly. But I guess we'll find out in the next episode, the final episode of the first season. And again, another great episode. Again, the character Mr. Nobody is absolutely fantastic. The actor, I forgot his name, is absolutely fantastic with the voice work and stuff. And again, we got that little backstory of him. And again, we got another more backstory with Cyborg too, exactly, finding out that it was a choice between him and his mom. And Niles reluctantly made him convince him to save his son because his son had the strongest possibility to survive with the cybernetic enhancements. Okay, so we got more revelations and stuff, and of course now we know that according to Mr. Nightmare and according to Miles, that he was the one responsible for all their predicaments. Okay, so anyway, let me know what you think of Doom Patrol episode 14, titled Penultimate Patrol. I think I pronounced it right. I might have butchered that, which means the episode before the final episode, the Penultimate. I forget. I butchered that. Screw that. But anyway, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave comments down below. Let me know if you're enjoying this show and you're ready for that last final episode. I'll leave a link to my other channel, Paul's Views and Opinions, in the description box. Please check that out as well. I also have links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram in the description box, as well as a link to my other channel, Paul's Views and Opinions. Please check that out as well. And this is Trey Pass saying so long and take care.